like I'm in one of those survival YouTube channels. Dennis Tank here with the Outdoor Boys. Ignore the rat stash and goatee if it shows up on camera. In the last couple of weeks before boot camp, I just wanted to see what I could grow out, and clearly, it's not that much. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. They said we wouldn't have a white Christmas, and yet here it is. Look at how beautiful it is, and it's snowing not just snowflakes, but the big fat snowflakes that will really stay on your hair and on your eyelashes. And yeah, I'm back in Massachusetts until January 11th when I ship out. But really today I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about, especially after college, which is the idea that we are losing the village. You know, I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not a sociologist.
I'm not a rapper.
And all this moving business has me thinking about how in the future I may have to build a new community around me. You know, you see all those statistics about how often or how less frequently you'll see your friends after graduating college or after graduating high school or moving away from hometown. And those stats are becoming more and more relevant because, as far as I'm concerned, people are moving away from home. We're becoming a more mobile society, for the better, of course. But in the transition, we are losing the village. We're losing the community. You know, when I graduated high school, I moved away from a lot of my friends. When I graduated college, I moved away from a lot of my friends. People are moving away from home more and more. And that's just because we're in a globalized society. You know, there are more opportunities abroad. Travel has become more accessible. Moving has become more accessible. And it's overall a good thing. But at the same time, we're losing a lot of the sense of community and connection that I feel like you used to get just by virtue of staying in one place for your entire life. You know, think about all of the friends that you had in middle school, in high school, in your hometown. And now think about all of the friends you had in college. Now think about how difficult it was to stay connected to everybody. You know, you might not have been the closest of friends with everybody, but you know, as a classmate of mine said when we graduated high school, we may not have been best friends with every single person in our class, but a lot of us who are graduating have been together, passively, in the same classes, in the same area, sports teams, clubs, whatever. Since we were in kindergarten, you know, we all had a group of people who were in the same schooling district since kindergarten. And you don't have to be best friends to realize the value of that. The same thing I would say applies to extended family. You know, think about how hard it is just to stay as connected as you want with your parents, let alone extended family, if you're someone who's moved away from home. There's a value to that community, to that network that we lost because we've been, as a society, in my opinion, so obsessed with career growth and productivity and opportunity that we kind of didn't realize what we were losing necessarily. And I think about the kind of life that I would raise my kids in and how different mine and my kids' life is relative to my parents or my grandparents, where they had access to all these people. Dare I say, I don't know if this is controversial, I don't think people are really meant to raise kids on their own. I don't think we're meant to just be with our partners 24/7. I know a lot of people, of course, have friends while with their partner. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking a different level of connection where you can let your kids play on the streets. Or you can leave the house and know that, hey, family friend's gonna take care of the kids. Or out. They can go play with Bobby's friends. With his kids. Or, oh, Auntie, you wanna go out? It's your turn to go out. It's my turn to watch the kids. Yeah. And that's not just a freak occurrence, but that's a regular part of your daily life, is to delegate and share the responsibility of bringing up the next generation. So not only have we lost, just in general, the sense of connection, of being around a group of people that you say day to day, not on scheduled, appointed bases, but on a day-to-day basis. But we're also losing that aspect of child rearing, where the responsibility of raising kids has now fallen upon two people, and you're losing a lot of the collective influence and the diversity of thought and the diversity of parenting styles that existed back in the old day. Alright bro, stop yapping, check out the view. Isn't that beautiful? It's pretty in the winter, it's pretty at all times of year, but in the summer, particularly in the spring, this whole field here will just be covered in tall grass that's up to the waist almost for me. So I can't imagine if you were even shorter. It might even be up to your neck, but tall grass, you gotta watch out for ticks, but it's absolutely beautiful. Suffice to say, you know, all of this stuff has kind of been more than ever on top of mind now that I'm moving for the military. I've been thinking a lot about what my family life is gonna look like. Been thinking a lot about what my relationship with my parents will look like. If you only see your parents once a month, or even less for a lot of people, how many more times are you really gonna have with your parents before they're gone, before they you know, we have sort of been incentivized to maybe move all over the place, but now it's our responsibility to perhaps build our own community, to sort of inherit the responsibility that was otherwise circumstantially taken care of for people that stayed in their hometowns for their entire lives, the people who stayed in a place with a village. So I encourage, hopefully my future self, hopefully to my friends or anybody that might be watching this video, to really think about what their social life will look like in 10 years. You know, I don't think it would be inappropriate to really sit down your friends at some point, not just family, but also your friends, and have a conversation about where you want to settle down, where your group is all planning to settle down. And maybe this is an unrealistic expectation, but I hope we can abdicate responsibility of building that village for ourselves. Are you going to be somebody who only talks to your spouse and only spends time with your children, and whose social life only consists of hanging out with friends and family on an appointment basis? Or are you going to be somebody who can casually let their kids play out in the neighborhood because uncle lives across the street, your buddy lives across the street, he's got kids that really play well with your kids, you know, you got friends that you got too much cheddar cheese from the mac and cheese recipe you were doing last night, and now you need to give it to somebody before it goes bad. Like, are you gonna have casual sort of engagements like that? Are you gonna live in a village? I'm rambling, but I hope this all makes sense. I hope I'm effectively illustrating the difference between appointment-based relationships and the intimacy of a village, the casualness of it, and the unique value of it. It's just something I've been wanting to get off my chest. Merry Christmas, guys. I'll catch you next time.